Mind, page 87, Charles Fillmore writes, "To be ignorant of mind and its laws is to be like a child playing with fire, or a man manipulating powerful chemicals without knowing their relation to one another. This is universally true, and all who are not learning about mind are in like danger, because we all are dealing with the great cause from which springs forth all the conditions that appear in our lives of men and women. Mind is the one reservoir from which we draw, and it is through the laws of mind that we form our lives." Please look at the screen and let's use the atom smashing power of the mind together by speaking the affirmation for the month. As a spiritual master, I am preparing my mind for the best that life has to offer by drawing clear boundaries on what I allow my mind to focus. Self-love and service through spiritual living.
There is a story of a professor who traveled a long way to visit a Zen master to learn of Zen teachings. The professor walks onto the stage, and the Zen master stands to greet him.
Ah, very good. Welcome.
I'm so glad to be here.
Glad you're here. I understand that you've come to learn the teachings of Zen. The best place to begin is to recognize the vital importance of ethical living in Zen. In fact, ethical living is so important that
Yes. Ethics is a fascinating topic, isn't it? I've studied several branches of it. In fact, I've written a book about it. There are actually 4 broad categories of ethical theory. The first is the theory of...
And the professor proceeded to deliver a long, somewhat laborious lecture on the 4 categories of ethical theory and the efficacy of each one. When the professor took a breath, the Zen master said,
Ah, I see. In Zen, the correct motivation for saying or doing anything is very important. So we try to say only that what is truly helpful.
Well, there are several theories which hold that view. And however, I must say that I find each of them flawed.
And
For
again,
example,
the professor launched into a long, learned speech on the different theories of motivation.
Well, I was wondering, would you like some tea?
yes, I'd love to have a cup of tea.
The Zen master hands a cup to the professor, who holds it over the tray, smiles and pours until the professor's cup is full. Keeps pouring until the tea fills the saucer.
Wait a minute! Stop! Can't you see the cup is full? Are you crazy?
Of course I can see that. But can't you see that when you are so filled with your own ideas, you can't receive new ones?
So there you have it. Can't you see, when you are so filled with your own ideas, you cannot possibly hear new ones? This is the message that we are discovering and exploring today. And so, what I want to do is pull this all together because our focus, as you could see by what just happened and by that beautiful reading from Charles Fillmore, is we are focused this month on minding the mind, on taking care of the mind, because in the mind is where the origin of our entire lives comes from. The contents of the mind, the beliefs, the memories, the experiences, and we are masters of the mind. We are not victims of it, which is really a powerful thing to remember, to continue to remember, so that we don't allow ourselves to go down the track of, of victimhood, which is what often happens. Our social conditioning, at least for many of us, has been it's something out there that makes me feel a certain way or makes my life a certain way. Well, this teaching brings us right back to the core and center of our being, realizing that we are of the one source. We are made in the likeness and image of the one source. And that one source is infinite universal mind, a field of pure potentiality and possibility. And we draw upon that every time we think. So, this teaching is about thinking more consciously, being more conscious of what goes through our minds, and when it's going down a path that's not serving us, to bring ourselves back to that which does serve us. So, the mind is a vessel. That's what our topic is today. Your mind is a vessel. How beautiful the idea of the teacup as an analogy of that. The mind is like a teacup, a vessel. When we fill it up with facts, oh, these are the facts, this is the way it is, okay, the appearances, so things can't be changed because these are the facts. When we fill it up with untruths, there's no room for higher truth to come in, for a new way of living, a better way of living for all of us. So let's explore what are some examples of the facts or the untruths that we think, or that people might think, are getting in the way of them living the life that they choose. So just call them out.
I can't.
I can't, okay.
There's not enough work available.
Not enough work available.
Not enough time.
Not enough time.
Life is hard.
Life is hard. Not enough money.
I don't have enough education.
Not enough education.
I have too much education.
Too much education. Yeah.
Not right for the job.
Not right for the job.
No one will help me.
Oh, no one will help me.
Nothing ever changes.
Nothing ever changes.
I have to do it all myself.
Have to do it all myself.
Hard.
It's hard. Mhm. These untruths, and then also the things that we call facts. Well, that's the fact. The fact is that the economy's not so great, or whatever it is that we tell ourselves. We also know, if we're honest with ourselves, that people thrive in all kinds of economies, in all kinds of situations. People who've come from very challenging backgrounds have transcended and moved on. We all have the same universal intelligence and power to create within us that the most accomplished, successful people have. We all have that within us. The only thing that gets in the way is the contents of the mind that get in the way. And so what it is that we are to do then is to, and I'm not going to empty all that out, but you know what I'm talking about. I'll do it with this one, is to empty out the contents of the mind that don't serve us, so that we allow more space for higher truth, for the visions, the dreams and the visions that we have. And it all goes back to this beautiful, powerful teaching called New Thought, Ancient Wisdom that supports this whole idea. So Ernest Holmes says, the mind is a magnet, and we attract what we identify as true. In order to get the most out of life, we must learn to consciously change many of our habitual thought patterns that can cling to us with great tenacity. But being thought patterns, they can be reversed. So it is important to realize that these thought patterns become a part of, are really a part of the neurobiology, the neuropathways. But they can be changed, and it's been proven that they can be changed. Um, the, the things that they have found to be true is that, and again, this is fact, so this could even come apart instantaneously, is for most people, it takes 21 days to establish a new habit, and then it takes another 6 months to form the neuropathways. So we're talking about commitment here, commitment to a new way of life, and everyone has the power to do that. Could somebody turn up the air conditioning, or is it just me? Yeah, it's warm in here. Would somebody please fix the air conditioner? Thank you. Okay, so what are some of the spiritual truths that we're talking about that we want to fill our minds with? This is so just those of you who know, what are some spiritual truths that will help us to overcome or to flush out all the thoughts that don't serve us? Everything's connected. Yes, it's all connected, all one. God is love. I am enough. We're whole, perfect, and complete, each one of us just the way we are.
I have ample supply.
I have ample supply. There's a universal supply available to us.
We don't need to suffer.
We don't need to suffer, yeah. We can choose ease and grace. There's somebody trying to get in over there. Somebody might want to go save her. Oh, there we go, okay. Oh, that's Lori. Oh, all is well. Any other, all is well, there's a good one.
The universe has my back.
The universe has my back.
The door is always open.
The door is always open. Hear that, Lori? Okay. Any other spiritual truths that support trusting the Spirit, trusting that universal law to respond to our thought, and the guidance of the Spirit to support our visions? All is for me. There's nothing against me. Yeah, sometimes we have that untruth in our consciousness that the world is against me, but no, the universe is actually for us and in support of us.
We're whole, perfect, and complete.
Whole, perfect, and complete. Okay. So what all of you just said were elements of something that we're going to be talking about a little bit later, which is the form of prayer that we teach here. So if we let them, our new thought teachings help us to root out false beliefs, fear, and negativity, to actually empty it out, to see God in, as, and through all things, to see that one source, that one life, that one power, in, through, and as all things, to live from that true identity, to see that God's good is here and now, that we're always provided for, and it helps us to stand as the presence of peace, joy, and love and wisdom, to show up that way, to be grateful for the good that is already around us, and to surrender and accept that all of this is true. So surrender from the New Thought teachings actually means to surrender all of the old patterns that don't serve us, so that we can reveal the divine magnificence that we already are. Just reminds us that we are already that. It's just the thought illusions that make us think that we're somehow separate or lacking or deficient or limited in a certain way. So what I believe to be the most powerful spiritual tool that we can use for this process of emptying out the what doesn't serve, and filling the self up with spiritual truth is something that we call spiritual mind treatment. It is affirmative prayer taught by Ernest Holmes, who studied all of the world traditions, psychology, the new sciences. He was a great learned man and at the same time a very great mystic. And he found this particular form of prayer, which comes from a different perspective. It comes from the perspective that we're already whole complete, that we are the divine individualized, that our word has power, and therefore it sounds different from the traditional prayer that you may have been brought up with. It has a different feel to it because we are using that spiritual power for good. So there is a passage in Romans 12, verse 2, that says, "Do not conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, which is what spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer does. And there are some other powerful teachings and people who are both great spiritual teachers and some people who are just simply those who know the truth. And so Ernest Holmes is one who said, "We are all immersed in the atmosphere of our own thinking. This decides what takes place in our lives." Henry Ford, "If you think you can or you think you can't, you are right." All we are, says the Buddha, is the result of what we have thought. All we are is the result of what we have thought. And the master teacher, Jesus, "It is done unto you as you believe." So if you hear yourself saying, "Well, that's fine for some people, but that's not going to work for me," because I know myself. I start new things and then I go on to something else and I forget what I'm doing and I don't have any consistency. Whatever it is that you tell yourself, know that that is another sign of the vessel of your mind holding a limited thought. As Richard Bach wrote in Illusion, "Argue for your limitations and they are yours." Argue for your limitations, and they are yours. So let's talk about this thing called the "I can't" syndrome. I heard somebody say "I can't" was one of the issues. I have a story about a fourth grade teacher who gathered all of her students one day and gave them an assignment. And here was the assignment. She said, "I'd like you to write all the things that you can't do. So start your sentence that you're going to be writing with "I can't," and then fill in the blank. And do that until I say stop." So the whole class got busy. I can't stand my sister. I can't stand my brother. I can't throw the ball very far. I can't do long division. You can imagine all the different things that a fourth grader would write down. So when they were done, she asked them to come forward, put them in a box, and then she marched them all out to the yard. And on the way, they picked up a shovel from the janitor's closet. And she began to dig a hole, dug a nice big hole, put the box in it, covered it with dirt. And then she said, "Boys and girls, please join hands and bow your heads. Friends, we gather here today in honor of the memory of I can't. While he was with us on this earth, he touched the lives of everyone, some more than others. His name, unfortunately, has been spoken in every public building, in schools, city halls, state capitals, and yes, even the White House. I can't is survived by his siblings. I can, I will, and I'm going to right away. They are not as well known as their famous relative, I can't. But perhaps someday, with your help, They will make an even bigger mark on the world. May I can't rest in peace. And may everyone present move forward in his absence. Amen. So, how about if we did this for ourselves? I don't know what that might look like for each one of you, but make a list of all of your I can'ts and bury them, however that is. Some people like to burn it, you could bury it, whatever works for you. And the idea then is to not only put that to rest, but begin to make friends with I can, I will, and I'm going to right away. So just repeat those after me. I can, I will, I'm going to right away. I'm going to right away. Very good. So as we empty our minds of the I can'ts, not enoughs, all of that thinking, and we make ourselves an open vessel to be able to hear higher truth. And also to ask ourselves, what would I love? What would I love in my life? As we begin to live in questions like this, we live in a place of possibility. We think in terms of solution. Remember what Henry Ford said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. So just a short story. My sister is a hairdresser, and a few months ago she fell and broke her arm, and you know what that means. This is her livelihood. So she got herself through that time period very creatively and healed and went back to work this week. And so I knew she went back on Wednesday, so I called her that night. How did it go? And she was devastated. She was disillusioned. She was disappointed. She said, well, I came in and I saw my clients sitting in the chairs of other hairdressers. And so she had 3 clients that day instead of a full schedule. And it was discouraged. Now, see, here's an example of looking at what we call the facts and making a conclusion and deciding that it's all over. How many of you have done that before? Yeah, oh my gosh, it's all over, because that's what we see. So I knew that my role was, first of all, to listen to her deeply, to validate her feelings. And then because she's also involved in this spiritual teaching, she goes to a Center for Spiritual Living down in Florida, I was able to remind her of her truth. I was able to bring her back to, this is a universe of boundless supply and potentiality and opportunity and possibility, and you are a center of divine operation. You are a place through which this universal mind comes into creative expression. And so what happened today is just a catalyst for the next evolutionary stage of your life. Unfortunately, she didn't just hang the phone up on me. But she listened. We talked about it together. We worked through it together. And then I led her through a visioning of what is wanting to be birthed in her life. What's the new thing that's wanting to be birthed? And she said, well, after she did the visioning, she said, it's not just that I want to have more clients and that sort of thing. She said, I want to be a more loving person. I want to be kinder. I want to be, she gave me a lot of different qualities that she'd like to express more fully in her workplace, and then be open to, if there is another expression of her life, to stay open to it. And then we did a spiritual mind treatment, an affirmative prayer. And then she vowed, because she knows how to do this herself. In fact, years ago, she was a practitioner. She went through practitioner training. So she said she would be writing. She vowed to write out a spiritual mind treatment every day. So I called her the next day. How'd it go? Wow, it was just, oh my gosh, it was so much better. A bunch of my clients came back, to me, and they were they said, oh, we're so excited that you're back. And so she had pretty much a full day, completely different experience. And some of you might say, oh, that's just a coincidence. But many of us know better. We know that when you shift your consciousness, remember, we are living in a field of pure potentiality and possibility. Whatever our minds align with appears in our lives. And I've been putting this into practice myself more fully than ever before through a journaling process in the morning. I actually journal out whatever comes up in my mind first thing in the morning. That's often when our subconscious is mostly exposed. And then I write out a spiritual mind treatment in response to it. And it's been really, really a good process. So it's a consistent process that I'm doing each day. So my invitation to all of you is, this is your life. This is your adventure. You get to choose how to show up in it. And many of you who've been here for a while have the spiritual tools. You know how to write out a spiritual mind treatment. For those of you who are new, we have classes. We have books out in the fellowship area. Reverend Linda does our books, and Dwayne also helps with the bookstore. So please talk to us, and as soon as possible, get enrolled in a class. Give yourself the gift of being able to use the spiritual power that you've been invested with. So I just give my thanks. Let's turn within. And so I speak this truth that all there is one life, one power, one presence, one source from which all life arises. This source is the presence of infinite good, of purity and peace and understanding and beauty. All good, all the time, all wisdom, all order. That life in all of its qualities and all of its magnificence and all of its attributes is my life. It's the life of each and every person in this room. We are the life of the divine, individualized. We are the presence of pure potentiality ready to burst into its next expression. So I know that as we empty our cups of the I can't, I won't, it's too hard, I'm not enough, I don't deserve it, as we empty ourselves of all of this nonsense and instead open ourselves to higher truth, I know that our lives are surely blessed, and blessed so fully and magnificently by the higher truth of who we are. I know that new ideas are being birthed as I speak. I know that as we learn to live in solution, live in that place of knowing that there's a new possibility thinking, being possibilitarians, I know that we live as we are meant to live. So I give my thanks for this truth. I know everybody is blessed by this truth here today. I give my thanks for this shift in consciousness, for this alignment with higher truth. I release this word to the omnipresent, omnipotent law of universal mind, and know that all is well, and invite us all to say with a vibrancy, yes, and so it is. Amen.